welcome to the Room of Requirement. Today I'm going to be covering the Sefer Yetzirah. I'm going to be explaining it. I'm also going to be talking about the Book of Formation and the architecture of creation. So this is part of a series that I'm doing on Kabbalah. I also did the Zohar as well, and I'm going to be doing the Talmud after this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. Among the many sacred texts of Jewish mysticism, few are as mysterious, influential, and profound as the Sefer Yetzirah, or Book of Formation. While the Zohar is often called the mystical heart of Kabbalah, the Sefer Yetzirah may be regarded as its foundational stone. Long before the appearance of the Zohar, this enigmatic work presented a vision of creation unlike anything the ancient world had seen. It described a universe built not from physical matter alone, but from numbers, letters, consciousness, and divine intelligence. For centuries, mystics, rabbis, philosophers, magicians, and initiates have studied the Sefer Yetzirah in an effort to understand the hidden structure of reality. Its influence can be found throughout Kabbalah, Hermetic philosophy, ceremonial magic, sacred geometry, astrology, numerology, and Western esotericism. Despite its relatively short length, the Sefer Yetzirah remains one of the most important and difficult texts in the entire mystical tradition. So this is the version that I have here. It is by Akiba ben Joseph, the Book of Formation, Sefer Yetzirah. So this has a lot of graphs in it, a lot of tables and charts. For instance, on like astrology, a lot of the planets and stuff like that. I just kind of want to show you what it looks like. It's got number calculations, different shapes, talks about the letters. So this is basically a book about how we came into this creation. Okay, and it has a lot to do with astrology. You guys have heard me talk about astrology a lot. It's something that I'm really into. But that book basically deals with planetary magic as well. So, okay. So the title Sefer Yetzirah is usually translated as the Book of Formation or the Book of Creation. The word Yetzirah comes from the Hebrew root meaning to form, shape, or fashion. The title itself reveals the central concern of the text, how creation was formed and how the universe came into being. Unlike many religious texts that focus on morality, history, or law, the Sefer Yetzirah is concerned with cosmology. It asks profound questions. How did creation emerge from the infinite? What are the fundamental building blocks of reality? How does divine consciousness become the visible universe? What is the relationship between language, number, form, and existence itself? The answers offered by the Sefer Yetzirah are among the most fascinating in all mystical literature. The precise origins of the Sefer Yetzirah remain uncertain. Most scholars place its composition somewhere between the 3rd and 6th centuries of the Common Era, making it one of the oldest surviving texts associated with Kabbalah. Traditional accounts attribute the work to the patriarch Abraham, although the attribution is generally understood symbolically rather than historically. Unlike the Zohar, which presents mystical narratives and elaborate commentaries, the Sefer Yetzirah is concise, cryptic, and highly symbolic. It reads almost like a set of mystical formulas or spiritual equations. Many passages are deliberately obscure and have generated centuries of commentary and debate. Its brevity is deceptive. Despite certainly only a few thousand words, entire libraries have been written attempting to explain its teachings. So you really need a background in Western esotericism, Kabbalah, astrology, gematria, sacred geometry, all of these things to be able to read this text. At the heart of the Sefer Yetzirah lies a revolutionary idea. The universe is built through consciousness. Creation is not described as the assembly of physical matter, but as the manifestation of divine intelligence through patterns, relationships, numbers, and symbols. The text teaches that God created the universe through 32 mysterious paths of wisdom. These 32 paths consist of the 10 Sephirah, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and together they form the hidden architecture through which reality itself emerges. For the Sefer Yetzirah, numbers and letters are not merely human inventions. They are creative principles woven into the structure of existence. So if you're into numerology as well, this will really help. Probably Chaldean numerology. Pythagorean as well, but Chaldean will probably be more accurate for this. One of the earliest appearances of the Sephiroth occurs with the Sefer Yetzirah. While later Kabbalah would develop the Tree of Life in much greater detail, the seeds of that system appear here. The 10 Sephirah are presented as primordial emanations through which divine consciousness structures reality. They are not yet described as the familiar spheres of the later Tree of Life, but as fundamental dimensions of creation itself. The Sefer Yetzirah associates them with concepts such as the beginning and end, above and below, east and west, north and south. They form the framework through which the infinite becomes the finite. Later Kabbalists would explain these ideas in the complete Tree of Life, but the foundation begins here. Perhaps the most famous teaching of the Sefer Yetzirah concerns the Hebrew alphabet. The text teaches that 22 Hebrew letters are not simply symbols used for communication. They are building blocks of creation itself. Just as physical objects are composed of atoms, creation is said to be composed of archetypal patterns represented by the letters. Each letter embodies a unique vibration, intelligence, and creative force. The letters become the language through which the universe is spoken into existence. This concept would later influence Kabbalah, ceremonial magic, sacred language traditions, and numerous systems of occult philosophy. The Sefer Yetzirah divides the Hebrew alphabet into 3 categories. The first category consists of the 3 mother letters, Aleph, Mem, and Shin. These letters correspond to the primordial forces within creation. Aleph is associated with air. Mem is associated with water. Shin is associated with fire. Together, they represent the fundamental principles from which all other manifestations emerge. Many later esoteric traditions would associate these forces with spirit, consciousness, and the elemental structure of reality. The second category consists of 7 double letters. These letters are associated with the 7 classical planets: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. The text teaches that these planetary forces influence time, consciousness, and the cycles of existence. Here we see one of the earliest foundations of what would later become astrological correspondences within Kabbalah and Western esotericism. The final category consists of 12 simple letters. They correspond to the 12 signs of the zodiac. The Sefer Yetzirah presents a universe in which cosmic forces, planetary influences, zodiacal energies, and human consciousness are interconnected. The idea would later become central to both Kabbalah, astrology, and Hermetic philosophy. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Sefer Yetzirah is its emphasis upon pattern and relationship. The text presents creation as a structured, mathematical, and geometric process. Reality is not random. It unfolds according to intelligible principles. The universe possesses order, harmony, proportion, and symmetry. For this reason, many scholars view the Sefer Yetzirah as one of the earliest expressions of sacred geometry within the Western mystical tradition. The text suggests that underlying physical reality is a hidden world of patterns through which the divine intelligence manifests form. Although often discussed as a cosmological text, the Sefer Yetzirah is equally a text about consciousness. The same principles that govern creation also govern the human being. The structure of the universe is mirrored within the soul, and the letters, numbers, elements, planets, and zodiacal forces all operate both externally and internally. The text therefore becomes a guide not only to understanding the cosmos, but to understanding oneself. In this sense, the Sefer Yetzirah functions as an early map of consciousness. The influence of the Sefer Yetzirah extends far beyond Judaism. Its teachings shaped later Kabbalah, influenced medieval mysticism, contributed to Renaissance occult philosophy, and eventually entered Hermeticism, Rosicrucianism, and ceremonial magic. The ideas of correspondences, sacred language, numerical symbolism, planetary relationships, and cosmic structure found throughout Western esotericism owe much to the foundations established by this remarkable text. Many of the systems used by ceremonial magicians today can trace part of their lineage directly back to the concepts introduced within the Sefer Yetzirah. For the mystic, the Sefer Yetzirah offers a vision of the hidden architecture underlying creation. For the ceremonial magician, it provides a framework for understanding how symbols, numbers, letters, planets, and archetypal forces interact within a unified system. Some practitioners meditate upon the Hebrew letters themselves. Others study the relationship between the letters, the planets, and the zodiac. Still others use the text as a guide for contemplating the structure of consciousness and the process through which divine intelligence manifests reality. The goal is not merely intellectual understanding, but direct perception of the hidden patterns underlying existence. One of the most remarkable things about the Sefer Yetzirah is its brevity. Unlike the Zohar, which fills multiple volumes and thousands of pages, the Sefer Yetzirah is surprisingly short. Most editions occupy fewer than 100 pages, yet its influence has been immeasurable. Entire schools of Kabbalah, countless commentaries, and centuries of mystical speculation emerge from this compact and enigmatic text. Because of the cryptic nature, every generation has interpreted it differently. Some view it as a mystical cosmology, others as a guide to meditation, others as a system of sacred geometry, and still others as a key to understanding the relationship between consciousness and creation. Its very ambiguity is part of its power, inviting students to continually uncover deeper layers of meaning. Perhaps the greatest wonder of the Sefer Yetzirah is that it attempts something almost unimaginable. Rather than asking us to believe in a particular doctrine, it attempts to describe the hidden grammar through which reality itself is constructed. It presents a universe woven together through consciousness, number, vibration, pattern, symbol, and sacred intelligence. For nearly 2,000 years, mystics have returned to its pages seeking insight into the deepest mysteries of existence. Yet despite centuries of study, the text continues to reveal new meanings. Its teachings remain as alive and proactive today as when they were first written. The Sefer Yetzirah invites us to imagine that beneath the visible world lies a hidden architecture of extraordinary beauty and precision. It suggests that creation is not chaos but order, not randomness but intelligence, not accident but design. It challenges us to see the universe as a living expression of divine wisdom and to recognize that the same principles shaping the stars also shape the depths of our own consciousness. Standing before the Sefer Yetzirah is like standing before the blueprint of creation itself. One cannot help but feel a sense of awe that a text so brief could contain ideas so vast. It reminds us that reality may be far deeper, more intricate, and more mysterious than we have ever imagined. The Sefer Yetzirah stands as one of the oldest and most influential works of Jewish mysticism ever written. Though brief in length, its impact upon Kabbalah, sacred geometry, astrology, Hermetic philosophy, ceremonial magic, and Western esotericism cannot be overstated. Within its pages, we find some of humanity's earliest attempts to understand the hidden architecture of reality and the mysterious relationship between consciousness and creation. Unlike many spiritual texts, the Sefer Yetzirah does not focus primarily on history, morality, or religious law. Instead, it asks us to contemplate something far more fundamental: how existence itself comes into being. Through its teachings on the Sephirah, the Hebrew letters, the elements, the planets, and the zodiac, it presents a vision of a universe woven together through pattern, intelligence, and divine order. For the mystic, the Sefer Yetzirah often offers a glimpse behind the curtain of appearances. For the philosopher, it presents profound questions concerning the nature of reality. For the magician, it provides a framework for understanding correspondences, symbolism, and the hidden relationships that bind all things together. And for the spiritual seeker, it serves as a reminder that the universe may be far more interconnected, meaningful, and alive than we often realize. Perhaps that is why the Sefer Yetzirah has endured for nearly 2,000 years. It does not provide easy answers. Instead, it invites contemplation. It challenges us to see creation not as a collection of isolated objects, but as a living expression of divine intelligence unfolding through number, language, form, and consciousness itself. Whether we approach it as a mystical text, a cosmology, a work of sacred philosophy, or a map of consciousness, the Sefer Yetzirah continues to point towards a profound truth, that beneath the visible world lies a hidden structure of extraordinary beauty and order, and that by understanding that structure, we may come to better understand both the universe and ourselves. The ancient authors of the Sefer Yetzirah believed that creation was not random, that existence was not accidental, and that consciousness was woven into the very fabric of reality. Nearly 2,000 years later, their questions continue to echo across the centuries, inviting each new generation to explore the mysteries of creation and to wonder what hidden patterns may still remain waiting to be discovered. Okay, you guys, so that's all I have for you on the Sefer Yetzirah. It is a hard read. I'm not going to lie. When I read it for the first time years ago, I had no idea what I was looking at. Once I got more experience under my belt with ceremonial magic, Kabbalah, and everything, astrology, numerology, gematria, all of that stuff, I can pick it up now and I can read it and it makes sense to me. But it is something very difficult to understand if you don't have a background in Western esotericism. So I highly recommend it at the very least just picking it up and looking through it. Remember, you guys, archive.org. You don't have to spend tons of money on books. You can get these things usually in a PDF format and take a look at them. Okay. So again, Book of Formation, Sefer Yetzirah. Akiba Ben Joseph is the author for this one. It is really thin. It's super thin. It's not very big at all. So check that out. So what I have coming up next is the Talmud, egregores, Enochian magic, the Arbitel, the Picatrix, Lesser Key of Solomon, and the Kabbalion. Okay, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. Bye.